Damn, Reynald, here you are again, yet another week, staring at your laptop. Because you told yourself, I'm just going to randomly film and figure out the plot later while I'm editing. But this week, the plot is Beyonce. And there is a lot to figure out. On January 31st of this year, I was still working at the advertising company that I was working at before I got laid off. I made a video about that if you want to check that out, that whole experience. It just so happened to be the same day that Joe Biden, the president of America, was coming down to Hudson Yards to commission the Houston Tunnel project.
It's a multi-billion-dollar effort between the states and the federal government. But we finally have the money and we're going to get it done, I promise you. We're going to get it done.
So 2 p.m. comes by and I go downstairs to get my lunch, as I usually do, and just the scene that I am met with was just something out of a Mission Impossible movie. The whole road in front of my office for over 10 blocks was just completely blocked. There were no cars moving on the road, but instead of cars, it was just filled and littered with police vehicles, of black vans and actual police cars and motorcycles, and then actual police troops just walking around. And they were probably running in like their hundreds, probably 100, 200, or even 300 police officers just in front of me, much less actually down the road. But on my way back home that day, I remember in the train, I was just thinking about the whole thing that I had experienced that afternoon and thinking about influence, what it is to have that nature of influence. I'm talking about the kind of influence where your presence is enough to make people stand still. When you see people come to a concert and see just a crowd of people just singing in unison, just staring and channeling all of their energy towards that one person, and this one person is hurting the whole crowd. How do you gain such an influence? What are the qualities of people that have this kind of influence? Is it selfish for me to say that I want to have that kind of influence someday?
Welcome to the Renaissance.
I'm the second biggest Beyonce fan that I know personally. And this past weekend, I went to see Beyonce in Toronto with the first biggest Beyonce fan that I know personally, one of my best friends, Vanessa.
I feel everything. I feel nothing. I feel like I'm about to combust. Like I feel like I just need to see her.
I feel like both of us are just going to start screaming.
We're just going to start like immediately we get there, we're going to be like ah!
And that was in fact what happened. The concert happened in the Rogers Centre in downtown Toronto, and we got there at a fairly decent time, around 3 p.m. in the afternoon, because it was supposed to start at 7 o'clock. Although Beyonce was an hour and a half late, but I'm not really complaining too much because when she finally stepped on the stage, she really pulled off a show. We sat in section 524 at the very last row of that section, which sounds really bad on paper, but when we actually sat down there, we realized that it was kind of a win because we're at the highest point at the center of the entire stadium, so we were able to see everything that was happening. I'm going to lose my mind, actually. Lose it. I would have loved to show more of what it actually sounded like inside of the stadium because that just completes the whole experience. But I'm still learning how to adjust my microphone depending on the environment that I'm in. And my microphone input setting while I was recording was just too high for a stadium where they're blasting music. So rewatching the clips, it sounds like I was literally inside of the speakers, and it's just not pleasant to hear. I love to appreciate and admire visually pleasing things. I'm very attracted to it. It's the reason why I ended up in video. I love to appreciate it. I love to create it myself. And the entire Beyonce's Renaissance performance was just intentional eye candy. It was just so beautiful. And the more and more that I look at and study these kind of artworks, I realize that it looks so seamless because of the amount of work that is put into creating them, because of the amount of people that are on their A game that are involved in these projects. It takes a whole village to put these kind of things together. Even the most artistic of artists would need help from other gifted people to bring her vision to life, to make work that moves people. She would need a fellow visionaire who understands that art with a message is a necessity in today's world. someone who is committed to pushing the boundaries of what can be communicated to people using images, someone who shares her gift of imagination. She would also need help from another conduit of art who has devoted her career to building the platforms on which performances are staged. Someone who refuses to think inside of the box but rather wanders far away from it to harvest her ideas. Someone who is not limited by the traditional ideas of what a stage should look like. And finally, to give life to her music, she would need the help of an artist who hears sound and sees movement. Someone who is able to choreograph the ecstasy that she felt in the studio into the muscles of dancers. Someone who could show the audience what it looks like to truly be free. So when I started working on this video on Monday, I didn't really know where I was heading to it. I was just watching the clips and I knew that I was very inspired by Beyonce's influence, and I just wanted to capture all of that in a video. And I was trying to figure out, like, what is it that she has done that has given her this kind of influence? And obviously she's had a 20-year career. I'm not going to figure out in 5 days, but I think I have some of the gist of it. I'm beginning to realize that people that have this nature of influence are people whose actions remind other people of their own humanity. They are people who give other people something to look forward to. And they're also people who create an environment where other people can escape into a reality or a dream or a fantasy that they can't escape into on their own. It just gets me so excited, because this is the kind of thing I want to do someday. Like, I want to create art that moves people. I want to create art that makes people like jump on their feet and literally roar. And there's this burning desire that I have when I see performances like the Renaissance show and just many other artists that, like, it's like a fire inside of me that I want to give to someone else. It's such a beautiful feeling to feel that, and I feel so privileged to have been able to afford to see that live in person. And I had so much fun making this video. I really did. I had so much fun making this video. And if you enjoyed it and you watched up until this point, please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to build something here on YouTube, and I would appreciate your support and your help with that. Thank you for watching.